Testing, testing. Chair, can you hear us? Chair?
Yes, I can hear you.
Great, okay.
Can we do the test to see if they can hear with that? 'Cause
Yeah.
if not, we'll have to do this.
Commissioner Richard, can you hear? I think you're muted, yep.
I can hear you.
All right, great. Now we're going to see if I can toggle to the regs and still have this work. So go to 1.
Go to 1.
Hey Ryan, you can sit over here.
And not touch
Yeah,
this.
I think Kevin's gonna sit.
Chair and Commissioner Richard, can you hear us?
So like, I don't know, but yeah.
Oh, good. All right, we're good.
Okay,
You're
great.
good.
Yep.
All right.
How do I blur the background?
Oh, I could tell him that.
Yeah. So, it's on here, right?
I think it's under video settings.
Yeah.
I think it's under appearance, maybe.
It's not.
Yeah.
Right.
So, well, you want to tell him?
Chair, if you go at the bottom of your screen to where there is the second option for video, there's a little drop-down menu.
Like the little arrow next to the video.
So, actually, say that again. I didn't hear the last part.
Sure. The second option at the bottom of your screen should be about your video.
Okay.
Next to it is a little,
I think I see.
Yeah.
I see. You can pick various things.
yes,
Okay. That worked. Okay. Thank
there you go.
Oh, one other question. Should I be on mute when I'm not saying anything when other people are talking? Does that cause background noise if I'm not on mute?
Yes, that would be best.
Okay. All right. So that's what I'll do. So unless I want to say something, I'll.
And Chair,
And
I
just
told,
raise the hand, right? If I want to say something.
Yes.
yeah,
Okay.
and
Okay.
I told Commissioner Commissioner Suchman will be officially chairing it.
Okay.
Yeah, I guess mine can make that announcement.
Okay, yep.
Yeah, it's just that we're good.
You guys are good. We'll use.
Okay, we're on the record. And this is rulemaking RM84. So we ready to go?
Good morning. Yeah, good morning, Kevin Mosier on behalf of staff.
Okay, so why don't we take appearances first, and if you could spell your last name for the court reporter.
Mosier.
Thank you. Harrison Scher on behalf of staff, Scherr.
You want to go?
Good morning. Eric Wallace with the law firm Green Herlocker on behalf of the Supplier Coalition, and Wallace is WALLACE.
Okay.
And Ryan Shu on behalf of OPC, HSU, last name. And also Pauline Risis behind me, last name RAISIS.
Okay, Mr. Mosier, you ready to go?
Yes. Yeah, I think hopefully we can keep this fairly short. Actually, how do I get this on the screen real quick? Okay, just had two from staff's earlier version. Just had two basically typos to correct here. One we didn't where it's highlighted the and. Since we deleted that sentence below, we needed to delete the word and as well and put a period there. And then at the bottom in this paragraph, the highlighted word support, we had the original version said supports. So so we're just correcting a typo there. So I think the only thing of substance we're still discussing is in 2061-0401A2, the addition of the word residential. Again, staff thinks that residential shouldn't be in this for the reasons we've outlined. I believe both OPC and RISA believe it should be in there. And I think that's the extent of the disagreements we have.
Okay, my understanding was that there were still two other issues. One relating to automatic acceptance of an application. Has that been resolved?
I think we, we've essentially agreed to that.
Yes.
Okay, and then changing out the heading from consumer protection to renewable energy compliance requirements, has that been resolved as well?
I think effectively, I mean, I think none of the parties here feel strongly about it. I think staff is recommending we keep it as is, but if the commission thought, the RISA argument made, their heading made more sense,
Okay. Mr. Walsh, do you want to speak to that?
Yeah, I think staff's summary of that issue is accurate. We had recommended that an alternative language there that we thought was a better description of the content of that section using renewable energy compliance requirements. But staff and OPC prefer keeping consumer protection. At the end of the day, it's a descriptive heading, so we don't oppose keeping it where it is if that's the commission's
Okay.
preference.
Yeah. Why don't we do that? So we have just the single issue,
Yes.
which is a removal of the word residential. And Mr. Shu, do you want to?
Or it looked like the chairman raised a hand.
Oh,
I'm not sure how we're
Actually,
gonna.
I need clarification on the provision about the automatic approval. Did I understand that the parties think that should be done?
Yeah. Yes.
wait. The resolution is that everybody is in agreement that. Okay, then I was confused. Okay, Mr. Chairman, I'm glad you raised that. So, all the parties are in agreement that this language should be that the trigger the automatic trigger language should be part of this. That
I guess I'll say from OPC's perspective, the impression I got from the last rulemaking was that the commission wanted to have this automatic approval language, so we included it.
Yes, we were okay with it as long as the percentage was 100%. We changed it from the 150 to 100% of the trailing 12-month average.
Yeah, okay, so then I was confused. Mr. Chair, I actually don't think that the language, there should be an automatic trigger language. I think that creates all kinds of potential problems.
I
And-
agree.
Wait, who's in agree? Oh, you're in
My
agree.
thought is, at least initially, I want to err on the side of, being more cautious on this
Yeah.
than, and maybe, as it rolls out and gets in place and somewhere down the road and it looks like it's working fine, maybe we can move to this. But I guess at least initially out of the gate, I'd rather have a little more control over the process.
Yeah, I agree.
Yep.
If I may just briefly,
Please.
It looks like all four of us.
you
Yeah.
know, just for the record, the supplier coalition supports that language. We think it helps to kind of streamline getting these projects through the process. I mean, we certainly understand the commission's going to make a decision on that, but I want to just make sure it's clear for the record.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. The concern that I have, and I'm glad Mr. Chairman slowed me down. This is my first time being the acting chair. I think the concern is that because this is a new process, and because of the intent of SB1 in the first place, we just really want to make sure that all the I's are dotted and the T's are crossed before we put in something like an automatic acceptance. So why don't we just, we'll eliminate this for the moment and sort of put a pin in it, and then you can raise this again, I think, at another date. So, so, Mr. Mosier, how would you go about eliminating this?
I think we could just
Looks like,
move D, right?
yeah,
Yeah, just, I think, eliminate all of D.
should we do a strike through, or how should we just delete it?
I think just delete it because it's not, it's new language, so.
Okay.
Yeah, may I just, for the record, I want to say I agree. I think the intent of the legislation is for us to play an active role, especially at the beginning. So just for the record, I just wanted to say that I agree with this decision.
Okay, so you would strike D, E, and G, is that?
G2, yeah. Electricity suppliers location should be deemed approved.
I think just D and G, because I think E is saying to include certain information from PUA 7707D3. So I think we keep E and remove D and G, right?
Yes.
Okay, everybody's in agreement?
If we're in agreement that if the goal is to get rid of the deemed approved mechanic, that D and G are the two that would come out.
D and G.
Yeah.
And E stays? Okay. Okay, so that's what we're gonna do, is strike D and G.
Okay.
And then the word residential, Mr. Walsh, do you want to speak to that?
Yeah, I recall that we discussed this at the last rulemaking hearing, and my understanding on the way that A1 and 2 work in this section is that A1 is the mechanic that requires suppliers to retire the RECs for both their RPS compliance and their green power for the 51% minimum that they're selling under SB1 and this new Section 707 language. And I think we've kind of settled on A1. A2 is another section that staff had added. My understanding from Mr. Mosier's discussion during the last rulemaking is that is intended to capture the non-residential green or renewable offerings that are not subject to the specific requirements that apply to residential green power offers under SB1, but nevertheless staff wants to capture reporting on the back end to understand what kinds of energy attributes are being used to support renewable energy offerings for the non-residential folks. And in our comments that we filed on Tuesday, the Supplier Coalition recommended a little tweak to that language. I think we don't oppose removing the word residential to make it apply to both residential and non-residential, which I think is what staff intended. What we had suggested adding to it would be, moving away from the word renewable energy credit in that section, and to instead use a more general term like energy attributes. And that was in response to, the discussion we had at the last rulemaking hearing and also the discussion we had last week on green power pricing, where there was a concern that to the extent you're using a national rec, that it wouldn't meet the strict definition of PJM locational recs in SB1 that applies to the 51% requirement. And so the suggestion there was if we use a little broader language that could capture a wider array of different types of environmental attributes that might be tracked through another RTO's generation attribute tracking system, or through Greenie certification, or some other legitimate platform that tracks renewable energy credits, that this would be a broad enough rule that would capture both those kinds of products and energy attribute offerings for non-residential customers, but also this could be how staff and the commission could get reporting on those voluntary non-PJM environmental attributes above that 51% threshold.
Okay. Did you have?
Okay, so to make this simple for me, this is really all about outside of PJM, correct?
Yep.
Is it only RECs, or is it other attributes? Are there is there anything else you can want to include?
I mean, at this point, my understanding is that it would be environmental attributes that would be RECs.
Of any kind?
Right. Yeah. I mean, but that would be some kind of a certificate generated and tracked in an alternative system, but that wouldn't be the PJM rec tracked through GATS that would be retired under A1. It would be kind of a broader catch-all.
To staff, and I should know the answer to this. Does legislation guide us here? What does legislation say?
Well, SB1 defines, residential green power as, anything that is clean, green, renewable, 100% wind, 100% solar. I think the staff interpretation was that 49%, it had to be, or the entire percentage, if you were marketing as green or renewable, it had to be Maryland eligible recs. I think again, both OPC and RISA disagreed with staff on that. But I will say the language I think in SB1 is just ambiguous enough where I think that's what they meant. I think that's what it says. But
Okay, so we're going to address the issue of what qualifies as eligible in a pending order.
correct.
So we're going to, or I propose that we strike A2.
Agreed.
Okay.
All
So
it-
so we're just going to go. It's just going to be A, and so there won't be. So you'll strike 1, and you'll strike all of 2, and we're going to address this issue in the pending order.
If I may, Commissioner,
Please.
I think the thing we, so I think A2 doesn't necessarily hinge on the question of what national recs can be allowed or not, because I mean, I think the concern we had was that if we allow if national recs essentially are allowed, and I have a whole separate disagreement about the use of RISA's suggested environmental attributes. I think that's a whole separate question. But we wanted to retain A2 to ensure that if national recs are allowed to be used in green power products, that then consumers and the commission could suppliers would actually have to document what recs they were using.
No, I appreciate that, but this will be addressed in the pending order.
Okay.
So this A2 is not necessary. So that will be struck.
Okay.
Okay. And with that, I think we have everything that we need. No other disagreements, and I commend the group for reaching consensus on this. It's really good that we're sort of moving along. Any other issues before I read the order?
Yes, one thing, Commissioner, just wanted to address in OPC's comments. I think it might have been a characterization of staff's position. Staff does not support allowing 49% brown power to be counted as a green product.
Okay, but again, that is going to be addressed in the pending order.
Okay.
So I
Just wanted
think
to put
we're,
that on the record.
no, I appreciate that. So, okay. So, any other, everybody's good, okay. So I move to publish the following draft revised regulations in accordance with today's proceeding in the Maryland Register for notice and comment, subject to non-substantive changes necessary to conform to COMAR drafting requirements. So revise the following regulations: COMAR 20.53.07.07, COMAR 20.61.04.01, COMAR 20.61.04.02, COMAR 20.59.07.07, and then add the following new regulations: COMAR 20.53.07.15, and COMAR 20.61.01.07, and with that, we're adjourned. I'm sorry. We're unadjourned. Okay. Okay, so Commissioner Barve,
Aye.
Commissioner Richard,
Aye.
Chair,
Aye.
and I vote aye. And now we're adjourned. So.